A letter from a Brazilian to President Donald Trump. Dear Mr. President, if you ever visit the city of Petersburg, Virginia, I suggest setting aside some time in your schedule to visit St. Joseph's Cemetery. In this vast cemetery, dedicated to the foster father of Jesus and the universal patron of the Catholic Church, lie thousands of American citizens, including Civil War heroes, as well as a Brazilian named Olavo de Carvalho. Professor Olavo was one of the greatest minds in the history of our country who embraced the United States as his second homeland and spent the last 17 years of his life in Virginia. I have reason to believe that his grave is among the most visited in St. Joseph's Cemetery. You may not know this, Mr. President, but this man played a significant role in awakening the Brazilian nation, which for many decades had been completely dominated by left-wing parties and their harmful agenda. Beyond opening Brazilians' eyes to the evils of socialism and communism, Professor Olavo initiated a crusade to restore our high culture, what Brazil has to offer on a universal scale. And above all, he helped save countless lives by guiding historical actions in light of the immortality of the soul. In his later years, Olavo was a great enthusiast of your candidacy and, after your electoral victory, of your actions as President of the United States. He also played a significant role in Jair Bolsonaro's electoral victory in 2018. Without Olavo and the influence of his ideas, a conservative candidate could never have even dreamed of becoming president of Brazil. Olavo left us exactly 3 years ago, on January 24th, 2022. Before his death, he tried to warn us about the dangers of a leftist return to power in Brazil. Unfortunately, his warnings were in vain. In that fateful year, the left, the media, and Brazil's judiciary leadership, united in a consortium, orchestrated a coup that brought back to power a former convict sentenced for corruption and money laundering through an election entirely manipulated by a political tribunal. I regret to inform you, Mr. President, that much of this coup was planned, coordinated, and financed by the American deep state, the same deep state that placed the invalid Biden in the White House and did everything possible to prevent your return to the presidency. 1 week after Lula's inauguration, Brazil experienced its own January 6th. The date was eerily similar. January 8th. The trap set at the Capitol in 2021 was replicated at the Praça dos Três Poderes in Brasília in 2023. The result was the persecution and imprisonment of hundreds of innocent Brazilians who received harsher sentences than murderers, drug traffickers, pedophiles, rapists, and terrorists. None of these citizens were armed or had the means to carry out a coup d'etat. But as you know, from your own persecution in your country, the left has no commitment to reality. It thrives on false narratives, hence its desperate need to censor the truth. The audacity of the media is immeasurable. A famous journalist recently claimed that criticizing public policies is a crime. That's right. The leftist elite wants to criminalize criticism of the government. Recently, a video of a young congressman denouncing the regime's attempt to rob Brazilians' pockets garnered over 300 million views. The result? Journalists and government henchmen now want to imprison the congressman. The truth, Mr. President, is that we are living under a dictatorship in Brazil. The PT-STF regime, supported by the militant mainstream media, is trying in every way to control Brazilian citizens' lives and drain the vital forces of our society. The Lula government and the Federal Soviet Supreme Court are working to censor social media and independent media, the only way to hide the catastrophic state of Brazil's economy and institutions. Organized crime controls large parts of Brazilian territory, imposing a regime of terror on millions of people. The public finance disaster is leading us to the abyss. We have no one to turn to, Mr. President. We need your help to get our country back on track. Sincerely, a Brazilian with 7 readers, and a student of that professor buried in Virginia, Paulo Briguet,